Your subconscious mind runs your emotions, your habits, even your health. But nobody ever handed you a manual. Today, we're opening it up so you can stop fighting your mind and start partnering with it. Imagine you're the captain of a massive ship, and you're standing on a bridge, looking out over the horizon, deciding where you want to go. Beneath you, deep in the hull, a crew of hundreds is working nonstop, keeping the engines running, adjusting temperature controls, doing maintenance, electrical systems, navigation, all that stuff. Most of the time, you don't think about them. You trust that they'll just do their jobs. But here's the thing. Some of those crew members have been there since before you even became the captain. They know the ship inside and out, and they've been following the same routines for years. So sometimes when you give a new order, they nod politely, and then they just keep on doing what they've always done. Not because they're defiant, just because they believe they're protecting you. They're protecting the ship, doing the jobs that they got assigned way back when. That ship is you. Your conscious mind is the captain, the part that sets goals, plans, and makes decisions. Your subconscious is the crew, the system that keeps everything running. It's loyal, tireless, and incredibly powerful. But if you don't understand how to communicate with it, those old programs below deck can keep steering your life, even when you're trying to change course. So let's open the manual and see how that system actually works. We often talk about the mind as if it's a single thing living somewhere in the brain, but it's more than that. Your mind is a system that includes your brain, your nervous system, your hormones, immune system, and even your gut. It's all connected. The mind and body aren't separate at all. They're two sides of the same coin. Think about this. You don't even need to move to feel the connection. Just imagine giving a big presentation or having a tough conversation, and your heart rate picks up, your stomach tightens, your breath changes. That's not imagination. It's your subconscious triggering physical systems in response to a mental image. For centuries, we were taught to believe that the mind and the body operated independently. The French philosopher René Descartes, the one who said, "I think, therefore I am," he argued that the mind and body were two separate things. But today, we know better. Modern research shows that your thoughts and emotions can change how your body functions, and your physical state can change how you think and feel. Pain, for example, isn't just a physical signal. It's also shaped by emotion, fear, memory, and attention. That means your mind can amplify pain or calm it down. So even when we talk about the subconscious, we're really talking about the entire integrated mind-body system, the part that runs your life automatically, below conscious awareness. We can't fully explain it yet, so we use metaphors, like the ship or an iceberg, to make sense of it. They're not literally true, but they give us a map and a way to work with our minds instead of against them. Once you see your mind as a connected system, the next question becomes, what part of that system are you actually aware of? And what part is quietly running the show? Let's get back to our ship. Up on the bridge, the captain is focused, alert, and aware. That's your conscious mind, the part that thinks and plans. But as powerful as it feels, it can only handle a tiny fraction of what's happening on the ship. Scientists estimate that your senses take in about 11 million bits of information every second, but your conscious mind can only hold about 50 of them. That means that more than 99% of what's happening gets handled below deck by your subconscious crew. And there are different degrees of consciousness. Some functions run automatically, but you can take control of them if you decide to, like your breathing or blinking. Other things are further from reach, like heart rate, although some people can learn to reach some of those systems. Others, like digestion, your immune system, hormones, are even further removed from conscious control. But your subconscious also handles habits, emotions, and reactions that you've practiced so many times they no longer need your attention. Think about how you learn to drive or tie your shoes. At first, it took intense concentration and focus, but with repetition, it dropped into your subconscious, and now it just happens automatically. The same goes for emotional habits too. If you've trained your mind to worry or doubt, that can become as automatic as walking. The conscious mind is small, but it gives the orders. The subconscious is vast, and it's the part that gets things done. The captain sets the destination, but it's the crew that actually moves the ship. You've probably experienced this. You're trying to solve a problem or something, and the more you think about it, the more stuck you get. And then later, when you're taking a shower or driving, the answer just kind of pops into your head. That's your subconscious at work, quietly solving the problem while you focus on something else. The subconscious is goal-oriented, efficient, and loyal, but it doesn't judge or question. It just simply carries out whatever instructions is being given, even if those instructions are outdated or unhelpful. And that brings us to an important point. Not every order from the captain seems to reach the crew. There's a gatekeeper between the two, and that gatekeeper decides which messages get through. Between the captain on the bridge and the crew below deck, there's this trusted officer standing at the communication line. Every message you send down has to pass through that officer. That officer is what is called your critical faculty. The critical faculty's job is to check every new order and piece of information against the ship's existing rules and routines. If a new command makes sense and fits with what the crew already believes, it passes through easily. But if it doesn't match their training, it gets rejected. That's why it can be so hard to change an old habit or belief. Your critical faculty compares the new idea, I'm confident, or I eat healthy now, with the old programming stored in the subconscious. If it doesn't align, the critical faculty blocks it before it even reaches the crew. If someone says to you, you're brilliant, but deep down you don't really believe it yourself, your critical faculty will instantly reject it. You might even start wondering, why are they saying that? Are they teasing me? But if you already believe you're capable and intelligent, the same comment will slip right in and strengthen that belief. That's the critical faculty at work. It isn't trying to sabotage you, it's trying to protect you from confusion. But it also means that once a belief is installed in your subconscious, it can be pretty resistant to change. That's also why a lot of negative comments seem to sting more than positive comments help. If someone says you're lazy and a part of you kind of secretly fears that might be true, your critical faculty lets that message in and it becomes even more proof of an old story you've been carrying. So even though the critical faculty is there to maintain stability, it can also lock in limiting beliefs that no longer serve you. Your subconscious didn't come preloaded with these current habits and fears and beliefs. They were programmed in over time. So how did they get there? There's three main ways new beliefs and programs slip past that gatekeeper and become part of the subconscious. The first is early imprinting. When you were a small child, your critical faculty wasn't developed yet, which means everything you saw, heard, or felt was just accepted as truth. So if you repeatedly heard, you're too loud or you'll never be good enough, those ideas could take root as core beliefs. That's why early experiences, positive or negative, can shape how we feel about ourselves for decades. The second way is repetition and focus. Even after the critical faculty develops, repetition can eventually wear it down. Whatever you focus on over and over becomes important to your subconscious. If you constantly think about stress, worry, or failure, you're reinforcing those pathways. But if you visualize calmness, confidence, or success, those pathways strengthen instead. Neurons that fire together wire together. If it rhymes, it must be true, right? The third way things get past your critical faculty is through intense emotion. Strong emotion, especially fear or trauma, can override the critical faculty completely. When something feels intensely dangerous or painful, the subconscious stores it instantly as a rule for survival. Avoid that. That's how phobias and PTSD can come after a single event. The subconscious believes it's protecting you, even if the danger is long gone. So between childhood imprinting, repetition, and emotional shock, your subconscious has been collecting programs your whole life. Many of them you never consciously chose to install. Just knowing that those programs are there is a start. The next step is learning how to work with your subconscious, how to reprogram it, so the crew and captain finally start sailing in the same direction. You can't bully the subconscious into change. It doesn't respond to force. It responds to communication and emotion and consistency. To change the ship's direction, the captain has to learn how to speak the crew's language. One way to do that is through hypnosis. Hypnosis temporarily softens the critical faculty and allows positive suggestions to reach the subconscious. It's not mind control, it's just focused attention and relaxation that open the channel between the captain and the crew. In that state, you can examine an old program and see if it needs to be updated. You might find that I'm a nervous person was something that got installed when you were 3 years old, and you can replace that with I am calm under pressure. So that begins to feel natural and automatic. Another is visualization. Your subconscious doesn't really distinguish much between real and vividly imagined experience. So if you can visualize a calm, confident version of yourself often enough, your mind begins to accept that as truth. Athletes do this all the time, rehearsing that perfect swing or performance in their mind. You can do the same for habits, healing, or self-belief. Third, use positive framing. Your subconscious doesn't process negatives very well. When you say, don't be anxious, it hears, be anxious. When you say, stop smoking, it hears, smoking. So instead of focusing on what you don't want, focus on what you do want. Replace, don't crash into the reef with, sail toward the open water. Fourth, practice inner dialogue with your subconscious parts. Sometimes a habit or fear comes from a part of you that's trying to help. You can close your eyes, get quiet, and ask that part, what are you trying to do for me? Listen for the answer. It's often something like, I'm trying to keep you safe, or I'm trying to make you feel better. Once you understand its purpose, appreciate it, and then assign it a new, better way to achieve that original purpose. This is basically self-hypnosis. And finally, consistency. Changing subconscious programs is like steering a massive ship. You don't just whip the wheel and expect an instant turn. You set your course and you keep adjusting it day after day. With repetition, emotion, and focus, new habits form and old patterns fade. The real power of understanding your subconscious isn't about control, it's about cooperation. When the captain and crew finally start working together, the whole ship moves faster, smoother, with less resistance. One of the most common battles people face is procrastination. You can avoid it by working more closely with your crew. In my video, How to Stop Procrastinating and Get Work Done, I'll show you how to work with your subconscious mind to break the procrastination habit and finally start getting things done. Click right here to watch it.